Good morning, everybody. Today I will be doing a video on making this card here from Spellbinders. This was June 2025 release. So if you're not in the Deluxe Caboodle Club or the Large Die of the Month Club, you will not be able to get this until July. And I know it's not a guarantee, so you're best to be in the club in order to get these new releases that they take or put out every month. So I made this over the weekend and I had some requests on how to make it. So this is the die set. It's called Sailor's Light, and it is the large die of the month for June 2025 from Spellbinder Paper Arts. And I had lots of compliments on it, so it was a fun card to make and quite easy. These are the pieces. And I did cut out 3 of these 2 pieces. I cut out probably about 5 of this piece and 5 of this piece. I cut out 2 big mountains and 1 small mountain. And then also on this piece right here, I ended up cutting out 4 pieces, and you'll learn why. But otherwise, I think everything else was 1 piece of, the rocks. And then I did cut out several little rocks. Otherwise, I think everything is 1 each. I didn't use this die here, and I did not use this die. And that's for the light that would come out of the lighthouse. So anyway, I'm going to get started here and put this together. And I did save, I didn't put everything together. I put together some waves, but I did leave 1 to put together to show you. And I did put together, I guess I did not put together my mountains and snow. But these are together. This is the island. I got 2 of my clouds together. So let's do the snow real quick on the mountaintops, which these are just the cutest little mountains. So I always use my little tiny picker-uppers. I think you can find them even on Amazon. I think they call them like jewel pick-uppers. It's kind of for nail techs that put small little gems on nails, but it works great for this. I think Sizzix also makes one of these. So they're just a little handy tool to hold on to your small pieces of paper. So there is 1 mountain. And I did get a bunch of rocks put together. They're pretty self-explanatory. You definitely look at your shapes. I think this is one I did not put together, with a few little pieces to poke out. But yeah, just a fun little die set. I probably could have got a little bit more organized here, but I've got grandkids coming over today, so I thought I'm going to seize a moment right now and get this put together. And hopefully this doesn't run too long, because it does take a while to down or upload onto the video or onto the internet. But I will be putting this on YouTube, as well as my Facebook group called Scrapbooking and Cards with Anne Reed Schmidt. I always share all the dies I use to make my cards and layouts, and I also share, when I can, paper colors. I've gotten quite a few new papers, so it's kind of been a little more challenging. Plus, I spend a lot of time up at the cabin, so I'm not always home. And that's where I'm most organized, when I'm traveling back and forth to our cabin. I sometimes don't have everything I need. I bring a lot of scraps, so I don't necessarily have all my paper names. So that makes it a little harder to share colors, but I do try my best. So right now I'm just putting together my little mountains and their snow caps. So we are only home for a couple days this week. Headed back up to our cabin tomorrow actually. We came home yesterday and leaving again tomorrow. So there's our mountains. And then here's our cloud. Our wave. So this wave needs to be put together. So anyway, and also I use this called My Sweet Petunia. It's a little glue gun. Boy, does it work nice for small gluing surfaces. It's a really popular gun. I think I got mine on scrapbook.com, but lots of your small scrapbook clubs or businesses carry this. But I see it's out of stock a lot. So it is definitely a must-have for scrapbookers. So you might have to do a little search, but it is called My Sweet Petunia. I use My Art glitter glue in it, but I've seen people use the Nuvo glue as well. So here is our cloud. I did cut out a square or a rectangle, and it's 4.5 by 6.5. It's going to go on a 5 by 7 card. I'll also mat it with another little narrow border on the outside, but this fits really nicely on that. Now on this wave, you'll notice there's a small line that goes right along the top, and that is meant to be left showing, so it kind of just gives your waves a little bit of dimension. But like I said, this glue gun is just so nice, and I've heard people that have some arthritis, this is a lot easier for them to lose rather than a small bottle of glue. Now, we've been working on our cabin now here for, I think we started in 23, so we're just now getting our septic put in. Okay, so this rock, as you can see, one end is a little wider and one end is a little sharper. So this is how that goes on. This really was a fun little card, and it has a lot going on, but it is by far one of my favorites that I've made. So it's nice having all your pieces cut out prior to actually assembling. It just makes things go quicker, and for video purposes, that's definitely what was needed. And let's see here if I can find all my pieces. Well, that one's put together. Okay, so that I needed to find. That's put together. I made probably more of everything than what I needed. And let's see if I can find it. Okay, here's this one. Right now I'm not seeing my little, oh, here it is. Found my other rock. But you can see with these little tweezers, this is a must, because otherwise it's really hard to hold on to these tiny pieces. I just see so many possibilities with this card, and then adding some other die sets I think would just be a lot of fun. And then on this one, there's a little, noticed a little, I think that's kind of, it's to find how these go together. Sometimes you just got to look for an obvious shape, and this has a little downward tilt on one side of it. So just kind of play with your pieces until they line up the way you think they should line up. And then you can always put it into place. Now, art glitter glue is a glue that they don't ship in the winter if you live in cold areas. So that is something to know. Okay, so I'm going to work on this lighthouse. And I did a black background. Now on the other ones I did a yellow just so that it would look like light was coming through, but I didn't do that on the black on the lighthouse. So it's going to have dark windows, which I guess you could say nobody was in the lighthouse. But I do like to do the yellow behind, or even like a light creamy color. This gives it the appearance of a light glowing through the windows. And this, you just line up your little shapes. You can see it's kind of got an indentation on it, so you can line up your windows perfectly. And then I went with, I did a kind of a navy blue door, so we'll put that on. Now I did see on one of the cards Spellbinder gave, they showed that one piece I showed you I did not cut out, but you can cut it out and it'll look like it's a beam of light coming through. I just didn't do that. Let's see if I can get it up. Yeah, so this piece. So you would cut it to where it would come out this side, and then it would come out from behind to make it look like a beam of light, like a lighthouse does. And I may do that. I've just got so many dies sets that I just don't have time to do them all. Okay, and then I'm going to do the stripes here. And you just place them, so that's obviously the lower one. And I like the tweezers because then I can place it just exactly where I want it. Okay, then I need the upper stripe. Probably the most difficult part is putting it together, and I didn't think it was too difficult. And then I chose red frames for the windows. Like I said, this goes a lot faster since I had all my pieces cut out. And then this will have a little flag on top. And that was this one. So I cut one out in silver, and then I cut the flag out in a yellow, kind of a mustard looking color. And that's going to go on top, and then it has a little dot or circle here that goes behind so it doesn't show. Just gives you a little bit bigger surface to apply it. Okay, there's my lighthouse done. Then I'll do this next. That's, as you can see, I cut a yellow background, so then it'll look like there's light shining through. So let's just say this is nighttime. Nobody was in the lighthouse working. They were at home. But I could have cut out yellow to go behind the lighthouse, but I would have probably had to do something darker here at the base because I wanted something dark at the base. Or I could have cut just little pieces of yellow paper and just put them right behind the windows. So that would give that same look, which I'll show you. I did that on another thing. Okay, now this has a little roof. So I tried to keep all my colors coordinating, and just kind of mixed and matched the colors that I worked with. And some of these were not basil paper, so I didn't include the names. But, you know, I did red, blues, a lot of different blues, some grays, yellow, black, white. This has a little red door. Such a fun card. Spellbinders just is probably definitely one of my favorites. I like Honeybee as well. I like some of the Altenew. I like, let's see, here's my red windows. I like, oh, Paper Tray ink. I've got some great dyes. So yes, eventually I hope to get to have a scrapbooking area at my cabin. We're kind of got a loft, and we've got it planned to put some can lights in there to really light up that area, and that will be my spot. Okay, so now we have both of these done. Oh, I know what I forgot. I forgot to put this on. So that's going to go just right in here. Got to have your little catwalk on your lighthouse. Okay. Then this is the one. So I cut 4 pieces of this out because when you put, okay, and this is what I was going to show here. So here's, I didn't want to cut this in yellow because I wanted it to have a red roof. So I just cut a piece of yellow out, and I'm just going to place it right behind. And that way it'll look like somebody's home, but I didn't want a yellow roof. So that is why I did that. And then I'll just trim off the extra. Easy peasy. Cut off the little yellow tag here. There. Now we've got lights on at the house. And so that's an easy fix, which I could have done on the lighthouse. And so this goes here. So what I didn't like is I felt this roof should protrude or be thicker than the rest of the house. And right now it is not. So I cut some extra roofs out. And so all I did is I'm going to cut right along that line for the roof. And then I will just glue it on. And so this actually, because I put the windows with the yellow paper, this is not going to still be quite even. So I added 1 roof, and then I added another 2 to give it the appearance of the roof protruding or thicker than the house itself. Oops. So an easy fix, and there's a line already there to cut on. So it's easy guide to cut that and get it perfect. This is probably the earliest I've ever done a video, but I had said I would try to do this when I got home. And got the granddaughters coming this afternoon, so I was kind of on a quick little get my stuff done this morning. And I am a scrap keeper, so I keep all those little scraps. So I'll be keeping these little pieces of paper because you just never know. I could have cut windows out of those, or so I am all about conserving paper. And since Joann's Fabric closed, which is place I got a lot of my basil paper and my coordinations since that, now I don't have any great big sales that I love. So now I do scrapbook, or no, cardstock, or 12 by 12 cardstock.shop. And that is another good place to get your paper. It's not quite as economical, but they have such a great variety. Tons of basil. They have Encore paper. They have American Crafts. I haven't seen any coordination there, but I know there might be coordination. I think there is the coordination, and then this little tool picks up gems as well. And this is I got it off Amazon. It was making sure I put it on right. It's for nail techs, once again, to put little gems on fingernails and toenails. So this works really good to pick up those little pieces. And that goes on this house here. So I'm going to, and once again, it's got that little circle at the base to put your glue on. And I really followed the picture that the Spellbinders provided. I mean, you could change these and do them any way you want. But this one had the little flag on the little house. And then I just need to put the windows on this, and then we're on to putting together my card. And that's probably what most of you are wanting to see. That's really pretty easy. Last window. And what am I up to? I am up to 22 minutes. Oh my goodness. This is going to be a long video. But that's okay. But you can see where these little tweezers are just so handy. And they're pretty inexpensive. And if you're in my group, you can go to albums. And then in a sub-album, I have, I think it says Anne's must-haves or something like that. And it gives all the different tools that I like to have, or they're kind of things I think you should have. So if you are questioning, and then there are links. There are links in the, if you go to the picture, like it'll show a set of tweezers, you go to the comment of that picture, and there'll be a link to the Amazon link. And I do not benefit off of those. Everybody tells me I should get a kind of like a, I'm not sure how you kind of get a little bit of money for recommending certain products, but I haven't done it. I'm not very tech savvy, so that's just more than my little brain wants to handle right now. So I put this one kind of right up in here. I don't really have measurements. I just do it. So kind of upper left-hand corner. Then I'm going to do another one about right in here. And of course, this one I wanted it to look like the lighthouse was out on an island. So that's why I put waves behind. And then this cloud, I put just a little bit higher. And I bet you every time I do this, it's going to look just a little bit different, because we are human. And I think it's kind of neat when they're not all exactly the same. Same idea, but maybe not precisely exact. So that was what I did there. So I have my 3 clouds on. Then I added a mountain here. I'm going to put it about, I didn't really like it completely centered, so I put it off just a little bit. So you can do it the way you like it. If you want it centered, you certainly can. If you want, I mean, there's no right or wrong, put it that way. And then I put one right here. I'm going to go a little higher, because then we're going to go to waves. And I like it because the waves kind of cover up edges, and then I put this little mountain right in here. And the nice thing about this glue gun, you can just put as much glue or as least amount of glue as you want. Okay, so there's that. Now we're going to do some waves. And so we have an end. So I start with that one. Like I said, this square or this rectangle is 4.5 by 6.5. And I just did it just to cover the edges of the mountains so you don't see them. And then I just fit it in to where you can not see the edges of the mountains or the edges of like this wave. And it's going to get covered up too by the island and the little lighthouse and all of that. And if you know waves, they're kind of sporadic. They're not even. Okay, so island is next. So I put that about right in here. Now you can see how we start getting a bunch of layers. Sometimes I get I don't know if it's like a little bit of glue dries, but then I just squeeze a little bit and then it seems to come out of my glue gun. But I haven't had any real issues. But the nice thing is it has a little cap with a pin inside of it. And you can actually open up put it in your nozzle of your glue gun and poke out anything that might be making problems. So I'm going to put this right here. And the nice thing about these rocks is you use those to kind of fill in gaps and things. And also there's lots of rocks in the ocean. Probably one of my favorite things about the ocean is having all these rocks. So here's my lighthouse, and then I'm going to put this right next to it, overlapping just a little bit. So, you know, once you get your pieces all assembled, you can just do pretty much anything you want. And I just overlapped a little bit because I just don't want to see a gap. And then this little house is going to sit there. And I did put this off to the side a little bit more than I did last time, and that's okay, because it's still going to be pretty awesome. No rules. Remember, no rules. Do what makes you happy. There. So I'm going to add some rocks in here because I'm going to add a wave. So here, yeah, so I'm going to put rocks down in through here and rocks in through here, because I'm going to put, I don't want to put this wave like right up in the Don't want to put it right up in the mess of, or the lighthouse and stuff, as that would be not cool. So I'm going to add some rocks in there. And that's the nice thing about being able to add things in. And they're big boulders. I'm a kind of a, I like things to be realistic, but you know, it's kind of like, I know scrapbooking isn't meant to always be realistic, but I always try to be as realistic as possible because that's just how I am. I'm not really, I really am not too big on like cartoony looking things. So I really like the more realistic, the better for myself. So I'm just trying to figure out a good placement here because I've got some blue showing, but that's not that big of a deal. But I think I'm going to put that in there. It'll give it even more dimension. So like I said, these are never the same. And then you just kind of put your wave in. Think, okay, I really like how that looks. Something like that. But then I'm going to do one over here, so I want to put some rocks over here. And I could have done 3 colors of rocks just to give it some variation, but I just went with 2, just like I did in the first card. And then I lay this here and see what I think. So I definitely want to, oops, I'm definitely going to do a lot more rocks in here. And just stacking them just makes it really look pretty realistic. And I think I might have done, I think I did actually 4 waves in the background, but I think I moved this down a little bit, so we're kind of improvising. I'll put in some like that. As you can see, it's just super easy. You just start stacking and just do what makes you happy. And then I always go like this just to give myself an idea of if I'm happy with it. And I still want to come, I think I still want to come a little lower. But I'm going to come over here. So as you can see, I need to fill in right here and fill in over here. So I'm going to put some little rocks down in this area. And you could put foam squares on your lighthouse and even probably on some of your rocks and to give it more dimension. But then we got to remember if it goes into the mail, it might be a bigger deal. Oh yeah, I really like how that's looking. Just like you would see rocks stacked on a beach, or if you've been to the Oregon coast, that is exactly what they got going on. Let's see, and I think I was going to do, let's see, and I like that it hangs over a little bit here. So I'm going to do another big one over here, I think. As you can see, I'm running out of big rocks. I'm going to come here. So what means up here, I'm going to do another rock. Let's see, I'm going to do gray. For Basil colors, I used, the background is Gumball by Basil. So that's Gumball. The mountains are Flintstone. The red, I think, is a Lawn Fawn color. The blue, I think, is a Encore color, which I couldn't tell you the name. The yellow behind the windows is Chiffon by Basil. Okay, let's see here. So I'm just going to do this down here. Yeah, I really like how that looks. And as you're going to see, it's going to be different. And that's perfectly fine. But same idea. And I'm going to use a brighter. I'm going to use a brighter wave. Oh, I like that. And I don't have it completely covered here, but I don't think that's a big deal because between the waves are water. So that works. So that looks really good. And these are some Basil colors, but I have to look through my stash because these are scraps, so I don't have the color names. But they have a lot of pretty blues, greens. Okay. And then over here, I'm going to add this color in and just see what I need. Which I might just add in a few rocks in here. And I think I'm going to add one right here just to cover up a little more sand by the lighthouse itself. And I think I'm going to put another one right in here. But anyway, Oregon coast, beautiful. Beautiful, one of my favorite places to be. And I think that's where I got my love of lighthouses and the ocean. Not to say I don't just love the Caribbean, but that is a little bit more of a drive. That's not a drive, that's an airplane ticket. And of course, those are not cheap. But we can drive the coast. We're probably a good 8 to 9 hours from the Oregon coast. But it's always worth it. When you get there, it's just the most wonderful place to be. Love it. Okay, so I have 2 waves left and a little bit of rock, but here we go. And that is how we do it. And then I'm going to put it, I'll get another matting to do. So what I do for matting is I pick these. So I chose the one that was 4.5 by 6.5. And so what I'll do is I'll pick this one, and then it will make, I'm probably going to do it in the dark Flintstone color. And so it'll just be just like this one. I have a little, just to make it a little more finished, I think. So I will cut that. And what I usually do now, because I'm trying to save money, so I'll cut it out in this size, but then I'll go in and probably cut out the center of it with this, so that I just basically have a little bit underneath, and then I have all this paper I can use. So that is my finished or almost finished product. And as you can see, they're very similar, but just a little bit different, and they're both turned out really well. So that is how you do the Spellbinder large die of the month for June 2025 called Sailor's Light. And that is it. These are the pieces. So I will have this posted in my albums. I will have it posted in featured. And then this video will also be able to be seen in guides. And all you do is use the little hourglass at the top right-hand corner. At least on my iPhone, that's where it's at. And you can type in lighthouse, probably. I'll put lighthouse on it. Lighthouse. I'll type in or put in Sailor's Light. So, or you can just go through all the guides. I've got several videos on how to mat pictures, make flowers, all kinds of stuff. So anyway, I hope you all enjoyed this video. Have a great day.